Welcome to Season 2 of Path of the Brush. Let's sling some paint. All right. Hey, welcome everybody to Path of the Brush. We're deep into our season. This is what, 14? Episode 14? Wow. So today we're going to be painting some miniature from the new, or no, not new, but it's been around for a hot minute. Fallout Wasteland Warfare by Modiphius. And we're going to be painting Frank Horrigan, part of the Enclave. It says here that Frank Harrigan, or Horrigan, is the ultimate foot soldier for the Enclave, a walking tank. His aggression, size, and strength are boosted far above human levels and mixed with mutated flesh. He can now decapitate a death claw with one blow and put his fist through the combat armored chest of a Brotherhood of Steel knight. Okay, Brotherhood of Steel also wears those like big armor suits, right? So if he can punch one's heart out through its chest, cool. So yeah, so this is a cool little miniature right here that we're going to be putting together. I'm actually going to be painting it on sprue with, and then bringing it all together afterwards, gluing all the bits and pieces to it. And it's kind of neat. It has a really decorative base, which shows one of the creatures from Fallout. I've actually never played the video game. Does that make me a bad gamer? I don't think so. Just is what it is, right? I think. But it's a pretty cool miniature here. Speaking of which, I am Rick. I'm your host. I'm a little like brain foggy because I just got back from PAX Unplugged, which was awesome. I had a great time there. I taught 3 miniature painting classes, one on Saturday and then 2 on Sunday back to back. My class I teach there is called Painting Miniatures for 3 Feet Away, which is what I talk about a lot here on the show, in that if you can if you paint a miniature and it looks good from 3 feet away, you've done a good job, because there's a lot of like anxiety and apprehension in painting for some people. And I try to, eliminate or at least mitigate it so that they feel a little bit more comfortable in painting, knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So it's super fun. All right, I'm using some Occultist Cloak. It's a gray, multi-toned gray from the Speed Paint line. Big shout out to our paint sponsor, the Army Painter. There we go. And the cool thing about this miniature is, as you look at it, in this, it's mostly a grayish brown, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this first as a base on the power armor, and then come back and do some details and highlights on it and see how it looks. I used just a white primer on this. It's a resin miniature. But the one I know Bethesda Games is the original creator of the Fallout verse, right? Is that right, Will? Is it Bethesda Games? Oh, okay. I just know that the Bethesda group there, when I was living in Maryland, that obviously that's where it's at, Bethesda, Maryland area is where their headquarters was or was. I think it still is. And one of the guys who does work on Fallout is one of the like world builders and storytellers or whatever story designers within the game, is a huge board game collector, and he and I had hung out a few times, and it was pretty cool. Interplay, wow, that's like a throwback. That's a deep cut. Interplay. But now Modiphius has the rights for the board game and the role-playing game, which is kind of cool and good for them. I do. GURPS. That is super deep cut. And it's kind of nuts that Steve Jackson didn't pick it up. But it also makes sense. That's pretty cool. All right, so yeah, I'm putting this occultist cloak all over the main body armor parts here. And then I'm going to put it on the helmet, and then the arms where the metallic pieces are. And I'm going to use some sort of like uh, glowy looking green to maybe even put yellow, then a green over that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Good thing about paints is even if you make a mistake, you can always paint over it. So shout out to the folks behind the camera, Mark and Will, for everybody watching. They are taking care of business.
What's up, man? How you been? How was PAX? You just got back from PAX Unplugged, right?
Yeah, it was wild. Like I said, I taught my classes, and then I went and walked around and talked to all the publishers. Made some new contacts. Made sure that we continued having a relationship with some other publishers, and then talk to some people that I wouldn't normally talk to in regards to future events and stuff, and but those conversations were really good, so I think it's going to be a fun season next year for season 3 of our show.
Heck yeah, looking forward to it. And Will, you're probably the most seasoned, right, with Fallout. So for people that have not played Fallout or don't know the lore of it, could you give us like a brief history of what Fallout is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. I picked up the stories a bit for the first two. Those were back in the like Windows 90X days of gaming. So that'll take you back. But the story is basically a alternate Earth where we in the 50s we got so deep into nuclear technology that it permeated everything. It's like how we drove our cars. So it's everywhere. And then there was an apocalyptic event. Like I think America went to war with China, and it's not. I don't know if it's known who the aggressors were. It's just known that the world was destroyed. But like that's all just window dressing for the actual setting of Fallout. Is after that, it is learned that there was a bunch of vaults that were set up for people to hide in, like a bomb shelter. A company called Vault-Tec made a bunch of these vaults that all the people were hiding in. The thing is, those vaults were kind of sociological experiments, every single one of them. Like there's one vault that was a control, but every other one had a different type of society that was built up inside of it. And they were all an experiment just to see which society would actually survive if they had to start over.
Okay.
And you get to play the part of somebody who doesn't know any of that, and their resources in the vault are depleted to the point where they have to send somebody outside, and that person from that weird worldview now has to contend with a post-apocalyptic Earth.
That's pretty cool. I like post-apocalyptic shows like Mad Max, or Escape from New York, Damnation Alley. Do you guys remember that show?
No.
Yeah, that's a deep 80s, like early 80s movie where this like guy has to go down this. It's kind of like what was the Mad Max?
Beyond the Thunderdome?
No. The most recent one.
Oh, okay.
Thunder Road.
Thunder Road, yeah.
Was it Thunder Road? I don't think so. Was it Thunder Road?
Yeah, the one with Furiosa.
Yeah.
That was
Fury Road?
Fury Road.
Fury Road.
Yeah. Thunder Road was the board game I got from.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think I have Thunder Road as a board game at my store. But yeah, so Damnation Alley is kind of similar, where you have to go from one location to another, and there's just obviously all sorts of threats. Cockroaches are like the size of buses, and you just got to make it down this one particular road to the next location. And the vehicle was kind of neat in that it had 3 tires at each hub, but they were in a triangular setting, and it would rotate. That like if you got to a thing and you need to like get up and over it, they would rotate up and over it. It was really cool.
Yeah, I love all those. I mean, like USA Up All Night or TNT, you know, Turner, TBS type stuff. You know, you're supposed to be in bed, but you sneak out and you know, sneak back in the living room and you're watching stuff like that, like Escape from Frog, or what is it? Hell Comes to Frogtown with Roddy Piper. You ever see that one? So terrible.
I kept thinking of They Live with Roddy Piper as opposed to Apocalyptic.
That's you know, got the aliens. Well, all those are good. But the Charleston Heston flicks, the Soylent Greens, the Omega Man, what else? They're all the same movie, you know.
They really are. Well, you know, even Planet of the Apes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for everybody watching, what is your favorite post-apocalyptic movie, and why? And I'm curious as if there's a game system that has ever been made based on your interest there. Because I feel, you know, they've had Planet of the Apes games, so I can see there being others out there. What about you, Mark? What, when you are watching post-apocalyptic, what's one that you're like, ooh, if it's on, you're not changing the channel?
I'm looking at a list of them right now, you know, just to see what came up for it. Like Shaun of the Dead came up, and I guess like zombie movies would be, you know, that.
Absolutely.
Like Shaun of the Dead's hilarious. So those type of things, I do feel like the zombie movies have gotten played out quite a bit.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but yeah, like the Escape from New York, Escape from LA, those ones like definitely were big. The Snake Plisskens definitely was very influential.
They were so good. I'm always amazed at when someone comes up with like a new concept for post-apocalyptic Earth scenarios. What is the new dominant species? Because a lot of times it's not man, right? So I'm always curious as like if that were to happen, would we be dealing with a world that is predominantly overrun with giant spiders, or do koala bears become the dominant species on Earth?
Angry huggers, yeah.
Angry huggers, yes. Or sloths become super fast. Right.
The wrath of the sloth. Like Waterworld popped up on here, which was interesting. That got a lot of flack though when it first came out.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like it. I enjoyed it.
I remember the cigarettes they smoked were Black Deaths, and they had a little skull with the top hat on it. For some reason, that like stuck with me. But that was cool. The little, you know, was it the map? Was it tattooed on it, or was it a birthmark? Do you remember?
I thought it was like a birthmark.
Yeah.
I was gonna say boothmark.
You've been working the booth for too long.
I did hang out. Speaking of like post-apocalyptic, I did hang out with our friend Alex Knaus at PAX Unplugged, and he was repping his game.
Yeah, the booth looked really nice.
Yeah,
he had some of the demo game out there. And
and that's post-apocalyptic as well.
Yeah,
which is kind of neat.
The Mutant Chronicles, right?
Right. You know, I feel like the Terminator leads into a post-apocalyptic age. Whenever they show those shots of the future where the planet is just overrun with AI tech, I'm like, soon.
If you watch Elon Musk on anything right now, he's like, I've created this, but he's really fearful of it. I mean, he is the wealthiest man in the world right now, but it is crazy the amount of saturation, Elon Musk saturation there is on social media. What's another one that popped up was 12 Monkeys. Remember that?
Oh,
that was a great movie.
Yeah. That's a great movie.
Made you think a little differently, you know?
Yeah. So in the Fallout verse, some of the things I do know about is like the Pip-Boy and the device that is on their arms that gives them all the information, like the tracking. It's like their GPS system or whatever.
Yeah, that's the Pip-Boy across the board. That's one of the Vault Tech things that you get to go out into the wild and woolly world.
Nice. The when I first moved back to Lansing, Michigan, I was looking at real estate, looking at places, you know, to live and potentially buy a house or whatever. And there was this one building that was for sale, and it was like 15 grand. It was super cheap, but it was like a 2-bedroom house that looked like it had been built during like the 40s or even probably before that. But it looked like something that Vault Tech would have put together. Hey, what's up, Big Seth? How you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, the building had like a breezeway attachment to a garage that was just a cinder block garage, right? I was like, man, I wanted to buy it just to turn it into an Airbnb and then paint it and redeco it as a Vault Tech space. So it would be the blues and yellows of Fallout, right? And it would be an escape room Airbnb. So when you check in and you type in your code, like there'd be like an iPad in a frame thing, and you would type in a code, and then I would want it to be where a Vault Tech person would come on screen and be like, welcome to your Airbnb. We here at Vault Tech are really looking forward to your stay. Thank you. Oh, what's going on? It looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Hopefully it's not like, and it goes into like a whole like lockdown situation. And then it's like emergency lockdown initiated. All Vault Tech locations locked down immediately, and then you hear chung, 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 through the house, and it becomes an escape room. Where the escape room really is, you just got to get to the garage, and in the garage it would be like it'd be set up more like a arcade, and you could watch movies and stuff and
snacks, pops.
Yeah, and it's all
sort of libations. Right?
Yeah, and it wouldn't be overly difficult.
Right.
But there'd be clues within the room, and you'd obviously stay there. And I had it. Like I'd been inside the house and stuff. It would have looked really cool.
It's a great idea. We want to see that. We want to see that, people out there.
Yeah, I think those are the kind of things that I think people would appreciate. But literally the day after I went and looked at it, someone put a contract on it, and I think they actually just tore it down.
Sad. No, I'm sad about that. No.
Yeah.
Man.
I just feel like that could be a thing that Airbnb could take on is, because, I heard that they're having some difficulties right now is if they had themed Airbnbs similar to that,
It would be fun.
Yeah. Decorated in 50s decor, absolutely. I wanted to get the guy who's doing this. Is that Pip-Boy?
Yes.
Yeah, where he's in it. Do you guys know what he's doing when he does this? It's not that he's like giving you the thumbs up. He's actually
he lives like her.
No, so if there's a nuclear explosion in the distance.
Oh, the size of it, yeah.
He's putting his thumb in front of it to kind of like block it out from doing eye damage. So it's kind of interesting like that.
That's funny. I never put that together.
And I'm probably wrong.
Hey, I like that.
That's what I heard. And if anybody knows the actual like story to that, please let me know. But yeah, I feel like in Fallout, a Fallout escape room Airbnb would be freaking just sick. Because you could have, I don't know, was there any like console games based in the Fallout verse? Or are they all PC driven?
The first two were PC, and then Fallout 3, I think that one was both. And since then, it was they've been a PC and console.
Okay, because that would be something cool too. Is in the game room aspect of the Airbnb. The only game you can actually play is Fallout. That would be super fun.
Yeah, it has expanded all over as well. Like there's even the Magic the Gathering now, they put out those commander decks for Fallout, the Universe Beyond stuff.
Yeah, I think when different brands are taking on the IPs that are super popular, they're either hit or miss, right? And Fallout is so popular. Guess we had 2 episodes ago. Was it 2 episodes ago that we had Jeff on? So Jeff is a huge Fallout fan. So I think that would have been something he would really probably tried once, right? He would have gone to the Airbnb, I think, once to give it a shot, just to do maybe the the escape room aspect of it.
Yeah, I went deep down this rabbit hole of post-apocalyptic.
What else you got?
Like they had all those weird ones too, like the Deep Impact. You know what I mean? I feel
Sure.
like I don't like those ones as much. Like the
I don't
natural
know.
disaster ones, I don't think that counts.
I mean, it
It
does.
does, but it's less exciting for me.
But you know what the biggest like threat to the Earth is? It happened in 1994. A runaway planet collided between the Earth and the Moon, unleashing cosmic destruction, casting man's civilization in ruins. Just saying. The government used to recommend the person stick their thumb out. If the blast is bigger than the person's thumb, they are within the radiation zone and should evacuate. Del Rock, you rock. Though, I mean, wouldn't you be too late? Yeah, I would think you'd be too late. And then, another thing they said is lay down in a ditch if you can, so that it'll kind of blow over you. You're going to get bad radiation burns regardless. But lay down facing the blast so that it blows over you. It's going to, I mean, you're going to die. But they didn't want you facing away because it would blow you up like a balloon and pop you.
Oh my God, it'd be terrible. I mean,
I wouldn't want to. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
I
that's-
actually saw the
that's-
duck and cover, like the old black and white duck and cover documentary that they had.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have to put a paper bag over your head, yeah, that's okay.
That's only going to stop the alpha and beta rays,
Yeah.
right? I don't think they can penetrate paper. Gamma can rip right through it, and it doesn't even count the force, the energy that's just being ripped through you. And it's so great. But I do agree that I think that the environmental apocalypses count, like the day after tomorrow with the whole like
Flood.
freezing.
Flash freezing, and then
Yeah, that's absolutely post-apocalyptic.
So many of those movies on that list are pre-apocalyptic, though. The
They
apocalypse
are.
is happening during the movie. That's not
Right.
that. I don't think that counts. Like I
That's
think
the part I'm a little like sketch on. Is it? Yeah, if it's the precursor to the apocalypse, it's the apocalypse. It's not post-apocalyptic, right? It's the apocalypse that's happening because after that planet from outer space collided between the Earth and Moon, it was 2,000 years later that the Earth is reborn.
Yeah, and to me, like one of my favorite post-apocalyptic movies with that in mind is Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah,
I love that movie.
Pacific Rim is a great movie. I think one of the things that makes it so interesting is it's from another universe that the monsters are rifting through, right? And that's kind of cool. Yeah, I would love to see Godzilla fight a Jaeger.
Oh,
right?
oh
Real
yeah.
Jaeger.
It's nice to see all the Godzilla. There's like 3 different Godzilla films coming out, like within
Well,
a year.
Godzilla 1
-1.
is out now.
Yeah, and then Monarch, and then they're doing another Godzilla X Kong.
Oh, yeah, boy. Yeah, that just gets me excited. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. Did either of you and anybody watching, did you guys watch Godzilla back in, like, if you're old of an age, in the 80s, it would be like on Sunday afternoons. You would watch all the old Godzilla or King Kong stuff and or Kung Fu Theater.
Talking my language, man.
I loved Kung Fu Theater, but that was like, I loved Saturday morning cartoons when that was the thing. But I loved Kung Fu Theater, Godzilla, and all the stuff that was shown on Sundays more. It was just so fun.
The rubber suit era of Godzilla movies is something they're never going to go back to, and I think that's a crying shame.
Right. Del Rock says, the women of World War II used to lick their brushes with their mouth when painting with radiated paint that they would use on aircraft instruments. Then when they started getting cancer of the jaw, they realized that stuff was cancer causing. What do you mean? Nom, 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 nom. Thundar. That's right, Max Daddy. Thundar the Barbarian.
Yeah, that wasn't depleted uranium they were painting onto those odometers. That was straight up uranium, right?
Straight up uranium. That's right. Rosie the Riveter got him in there licking brushes because they needed you. Talk about a great propaganda piece, right? That has been reissued in so many ways for, again, like post-apocalyptic scenarios, right? Whatever the main character is, they need you. Join us now. All that stuff, right? It's so brilliant. Or alternate universes. What's another good one is Starship Troopers, right? Though not necessarily post-apocalyptic, but certain parts of the era is after it, I'm guessing would be.
You get the feeling they got to that point in their society because some stuff went down.
Yes.
So it very well could have been.
Oh yeah, because one of my favorite lines is, "Mobile infantry made me the man I am today," and it's like all half robot and it's like, ew.
I love that the guy who played the drill sergeant and then who demoted
Michael
him,
Ironsides.
yeah, like he
Oh no, you're talking about Clancy Brown.
Yes, Clancy Brown. Like he was the voice actor for Lex Luthor in the Justice League cartoons for so many years. That guy's got so much range. I love him to death.
He's been in so many shows, even just as slight cameos. There's a Western anthology that's kind of a comedic anthology on Netflix. It's like the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And in the very first skit, Clancy Brown's in it, and he's a bad guy, and I love the way he is dealt with. All right, so I took Murder Scene because I thought it was appropriate for the beast that is on the base, and for his skull, that piece that's going to be glued on after. I'm using Murder Scene. This seems appropriate for the flesh of this creature. A death claw. Okay, so death claw, Murder Scene, the best. And one of the things I really enjoy about like the speed paints as we're using them on here is, as you're just adding them on, you can absolutely already see, the shading and the highlighted spots, the way the paint just kind of like does what it's supposed to do. Heavy pigments go into the deeper aspects of the model in the cracks and crevices, and the lighter pigmentation hangs out on the high edges, giving you that highlighted feel and look. It's taken away multiple steps that might be necessary in a non-speed paint situation.
Crevice or crevasse?
It could be either or.
Tomato, right?
Sure. What would you say? Crevasse? Because I feel like saying crevasse is kind of like, riching it up.
I think crevasse implies stone.
Oh, and crevice could be anything else? All right.
But there's a word I just learned which is appropriate for the moment called grandiloquent, which is using large words to make yourself sound smart, which is what I might have been doing.
When people do that, I do like a 10 points. So 10 points to you, Will, because you
10 points to Gryffindor?
10 points to Gryffindor because you went for the well, keep track. Someone at home keep track.
Oh, Delrock says it's always surreal that the Kurgan from Highlander is also Mr. Krabs. That's true. He also does the voice of Gorilla Grodd in a lot of the Justice League animated stuff. Yep. And he did the voice of Gorilla Grodd in the Arrowverse as well. Even though he played the general that was like torturing the gorilla and giving him the intelligence, he was also the voice of the Gorilla Grodd that was in that episode. So it's kind of nice. Double dipping.
It is a double dipper.
But yeah, Clancy Brown is a icon.
And Gorilla Grodd would totally double dip.
Oh yeah, it's the smart thing to do. All right, so tell me tell us what you can about this creature that I'm painting right now.
Death claws are bad news. They're highly mutated. I think it's iguanas, and their claws are like 3 to 4 feet long. In game, they go through everything. You can't wear an armor that will protect you from them. They're just they're an end game monster. You don't want to run into them until you can kill them from very far away before they can get to you.
Okay. I would hate to run into one like, hey, I'm just coming out of the vault here at whoops. Restart.
In 3, we can't do spoilers for 20-year-old game. In Fallout 3, there was a vault that became a Deathclaw nest. That was a bad place to go.
That sounds it. Good Lord.
And you said iguana?
Yeah, I think it was an iguana.
Okay.
I feel like
I feel like if it was like a Gila monster or Gila monster, how do you say it? Gila monster, that would have been scary too, because they are already a venomous creature. I think they're one of the most venomous.
Is that venom or is it like bacterial foam?
Maybe
like a Komodo dragon.
Oh,
Same
that's a
deal.
Komodo. Yeah.
Either way, it's like something from Journey to the Center of the Earth, where they would use the old. This is not post-apocalyptic, but since we're talking about iguanas, but they would use those, for the old, instead of just stop motion. They would paint glue a little something on them or paint them on. It's like, oh no, there's a dinosaur, and then turn it's like iguana, trying to eat some lettuce.
All right, so this is like the second time you've referenced something that is like black and white movies.
I've got old parents. Like I'm kind of old, anyways. But like my parents.
Is that
are old.
what it is?
Yeah, my parents are. Like my dad's like 82, right? So, yeah. It's like, Mark, I got a new movie. You want to watch it? And I was like, great. This is in the 80s, and then I'm watching something from 1942. Like, what's happening here? Next, the Swiss Family Robinson. I was like, it's a Christmas movie. They sing a Christmas song. That's an inside joke.
Hey man, I'll stand by this, forever. But any of the Marx Brothers movies absolutely stand the test of time.
Do they?
Yeah,
the Marx Brothers.
Marx Brothers, absolutely. Yeah,
you're talking about like the Three Stooges.
No, I'm talking about the Marx Brothers.
Like
Groucho Marx, Harpo. Yeah, they stand the test of time.
Oh, okay.
I was just talking about this. We were talking about Halloween costumes back in the day, and someone was like, I was a hobo, and you can't dress as a hobo anymore. But this is like, I don't know. I must have
Why
been
can't
in
you?
third grade. It's it's
culturally inappropriate.
Yeah, it's not sensitive to folks anymore.
Okay.
But I think I had a stick. I must have been in like second or third grade, and I had you get the, what's it called? You burn the cork and you make yourself a 5 o'clock shadow, and then you got a little stick with a handkerchief on it, and it's like little suspenders, looking good. And it's like, now you can't do that. And someone was talking about it. I was like, I went as Groucho Marx. Just this week we talked about Groucho Marx. So it's hilarious that you're on the same wavelength over here.
A handkerchief
probably made you a hit at parties and with friends, though. All those old movies.
Yeah, when I'm at the old folks' home, it's been helping me out when I'm.
No, it makes me think that you're like, go to these. You don't want to hang out with people your own age or kids your own age when you're younger watching these movies. You're like, I'm going down to Denny's this Sunday. I'm going to hang out with all the old vets. We're going to talk about the, how things were back in the day with the Western movies and the black and whites and
a lot of Western movies are watched. A lot of John Wayne's, a lot of El Dorado, a lot of like Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns.
I have no doubt. And you're down there smoking cigars at 12. Yeah, it ain't like it used to be. What do you know, boy?
Lighting my dynamite with my cigar,
Right. That's so funny.
I think you got to be able to twirl a mustache if you do that, though.
Yeah, and be nefarious. Yes. What was the name of the character from? And again, this isn't. I know we should be really just focusing on post-apocalyptic stuff, but you get on some, thought lines and
Snidely Whiplash.
Oh.
Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Oh, okay.
From the movie Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Oh yeah.
The bad guy that was in the wheelchair had the weird, angular, loopy cut beard, right? But he also had the very nefarious mustache. I've always found villains like that to be so fun, and I try to throw at least one into any like RPG campaign I might run, because there just has to be that one who's like, "Oh, yes, come into my shop," you know,
That,
and you know they're a villain just the way they're described, but you still got to deal with them.
the Snidely Whiplash thing is making me try to. I'm trying to figure out if Rocky and Bullwinkle was post-apocalyptic.
Oh, well, they're talking animals, so there's got to be something there. Did you ever watch the series called The Zoo? All right, so The Zoo it's kind of like the comic book Animosity, where through some sort of event, all creatures on Earth that become sentient.
It's like a sci-fi channel joint, or is this like a
Yeah.
CW thing?
It
Maybe an Amazon or
Okay.
Netflix. But or have you seen the show Sweet Tooth on Netflix? It's so good.
Yeah.
He's got the antlers, yeah.
Yep.
I've noticed a theme with your animal fetishes here with the sweet tooth, and no, it does look entertaining.
Sweet Tooth is very entertaining.
What's it rated? I'd have
I'm sure it's like I'm sure it's PG-13 because there are some swear words in it.
Yeah.
And there's there's some violence, but the whole concept is there's a new generation of genetically modified humans that take on animalistic traits, right? And the main character is a boy who has deer traits, so he has antlers and stuff, and he doesn't really get a name from his father. So this big black guy, I can't remember the character's name, but the big black guy is also in the zoo, and he's been like this enforcer type in a lot of movies. He becomes like the guardian to Sweet Tooth and calls him Sweet Tooth because he wants to eat maple syrup all the time and just sweet candies and stuff.
All right, I got to search this now.
But the boy who plays Sweet Tooth is also in One Piece, the live action. He plays the younger version of the character that's the chef in the flashback scenarios. So,
and you got my whole family excited about that because you had that inside knowledge of the chef like feeding the entire crew.
oh yeah,
And it's like halfway through the season that he showed up, but they were so excited to know, like, that's the really nice guy. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, how cool is it that character, and I know that everybody's probably going, is this a painting show? That character, the actor, took classes, so he learned how to do proper knife techniques for cutting all the food and stuff, and he went through all these different like chef classes, and then he starts feeding the crew. Not just the other actors, but the actual, like the hands, the PAs, everybody that was on crew. He's feeding them these freaking high-end foods that he's learned. Like he did a class, he learned how to make this thing, now he's doing it for the crew. It's like, how kind can you be, right?
I get a twinge of pride with that because like both of my kids look up to that as a role model behavior now because of that kid. Like, because the character's really cool on screen. He is a cool dude, and then
he's kind of sassy.
Yeah, sassy, but yeah, like he never takes his hands out of his pockets, really. So
well, they're made to feed people. Yeah. That's why he protects his hands, because he needs them to feed the world.
Nice,
right? That's why he's so good at like the kicking, karate, or martial arts stuff. It's such a deep, I don't know.
It's a good reason for him to win with the hand behind his back.
Right, but it's also kind of like, how deep in your character development do you go to think of that whole idea is that no one should ever go hungry, and that I've learned this skill to feed the world, and I won't jeopardize my hands, thus jeopardize my ability to do so. Right? It's such so deep and thoughtful.
Is that, you guys talking the live action?
Yeah, live action.
Well, it's the same. It's same in the animation.
The Strawson or whatever.
That character
yeah.
does what it does.
He's a chef, though.
He's a chef.
He has a chef hat. Is he the bad guy with the chef hat?
No,
No,
he's the
just a
blonde kid.
Blonde-haired guy with a. He's always smoking. That's the one thing I don't like about the character.
Mm.
Is he's always smoking cigarettes.
Should be a disclaimer right now. Use of tobacco talk.
All right.
Out of here. That is good that they put that on shows though now. So
Yeah.
Censor what you want.
But as far as the character goes, brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of neat. I almost feel like that if there was a shifter metallic in the speed paint line, that it would have looked good on there as well to give that scale representation, but we do. So if anybody else out there is painting this as well, or are looking to paint these kind of miniatures, I'd love to see them. There's so many good painters out there that are doing some amazing works. I'm gonna sneeze, so
We'll mute you real quick. So Will,
Okay.
tell us about what's it like at the like when you're actually on the surface level. What is that like? Is there, you have to get back in the vault quickly because radiation's bad? You can only, do you have like a, is there a meter that tells you how much like radiation sickness you're going to get or anything, or do you have to have your suit?
It kind of depends on the game. There's areas where you can't get too close because you'll start getting radiation sickness, and depending on the game, it can have different effects on you. There's one that has an unexploded nuke at the center of a town, and you have the option to detonate it or to defuse it, which is kind of like one of the big things that they've done in all the Fallouts is it's the broad spectrum of moral choices that you have to make in a post-apocalyptic world. They want to put them right in your lap. So you can absolutely blow up an entire town if you're that kind of person.
More of an open world type game then, would you say?
Yeah. There's some areas that you don't want to go to first. But for the most part, you can explore a lot. Fallout 3 had a pretty linear story, and you could go do everything and then come to the story, and it could never stop you. You could just sneeze your way through it, and Rick would be done.
right. I could just snooze my way through it.
If you wander around the world, the outworld for long enough, then all of a sudden, like, you just sneeze your way through the story, and apparently you find out what happened. Like, that I'm not gonna spoil.
All right.
I don't play a lot of video games. But remember the game Fable? Anybody play that? That was a fun one. Where that like you started off as a small boy, and you would basically your choices would define who you were. So you could either look at the end be this evil Hellboy looking guy, right, or this like kind of a He-Man Prince Valiant looking guy running around, depending on what choices you did.
Nice. That sounds like yeah. What was that other one? Mist. Remember that game?
So He-Man Prince Valiant, or something more like Thundar, like a Thundar the Barbarian.
Show it.
That sounds perfect. Thundar, the Barbarian. So good. He is one of my favorites. The iguana with these like demon horns is kind of a different vibe.
Yeah, when you're playing, it's hard to see like that they did come from iguanas. I think the idea is that they mutated a whole lot.
Yeah. Because it's supposed to be generations, right? In the vault, and then when when your character is coming out of the vault, it's been generations of living underground and being, like you said, a test subject to whatever vault tech had made your particular social network or social experiment out to be. It's kind of an interesting thought. All right. I'm going to do the green on the arms, but I feel like I'm just going to start clipping these too.
Get clipping. Judge Dredd comes up. It's a
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I am the law.
What was your favorite Judge Dredd? Oh, we got a little break in clipping.
Carl Urban.
I haven't seen that one.
The one with Carl Urban as Judge Dredd. I think it's just called Dredd.
Yeah, far and away best.
Best.
So good.
So good.
It's good. Worth watching. All right.
Oh yeah.
Worth rewatching and then rewatching again.
I like Carl Urban quite a bit. Even before
He wants to play the character again.
Oh, really?
Yep. He said he would love to take on that role, and I'm like, then finance it yourself, because obviously the company isn't going to do it.
Anything Judge Dredd related was always running on a wing and a prayer, anyways.
Right.
Yeah, that's he got the scowl down.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else wanted to take the helmet off, but no, not him.
No. He was great. I think. I mean, I like Carl Urban as a character actor. Anyways, he was great as Lord. Was it Vago in the Pitch Black Riddick stuff?
Yeah. Riddick was a great. Yeah. Like Pitch Black was good, but Riddick took it to that next level, right?
And then Red. Did you see that one? So Red is retired, extremely dangerous.
Oh yeah.
The CIA guy, and he's going up against like Bruce Willis and John Malkovich and that. All good stuff.
Yeah, no, he did well. He did well.
Yeah, and then he was in a movie called Pathfinder, where he's a Viking child that was left behind in the New World and raised by Indians, and then the Vikings return.
Was that the one we were talking about? We had a conversation a couple of weeks back that it was like shot very dark.
There's scenes of it.
Scenes that were very dark in that. Yeah. And there was a debate. Is it 13th Warrior or is it? No, it was Pathfinder is one. And but that was also when I think the newer TV styles were coming, right? In contrast for some of those new LED TVs, weren't very, very good.
Right.
It's kind of the Game of Thrones. It's kind of like those episodes were too dark. People complained, at least.
So do that?
People do, yeah. Well, I just keep track of it, sort of. Try to stir up.
You actually do keep track of it.
Stir up some trolling on the, on the conversations here. Did you think it was too dark, people at home, on some of the Game of Thrones episodes? Some of the final ones.
Oh, there absolutely was some episodes that were way too dark. Kind of like the Aliens versus Predator one that took place around the high school scenario.
Yeah.
That one was. What was weird though is it's shot during the day, and then they correct it to make it look like night, and then they just oddly overcorrect.
There's another movie in the Aliens franchise after Aliens, because I didn't know that happened. I thought there was only the two. I refuse to believe that there's more than Alien and Aliens. In fact,
just because Resurrection was so terrible. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my God. Yeah. Rock says He-Man was a ripoff of sorts of Thundar. I think he was. I wouldn't say a ripoff. He was just the next evolution. Thundar was presented as a let's see if it will work as a animated series, and they gave it, I think, a season and a half for it, and then but I like the fact that Thundar was the concept art was all Jack Kirby's work, which is brilliant. So
then they skewed Frazetta for the He-Man stuff, like the early He-Man stuff. They really skewed Frazetta.
They sure did.
And the early lore was pretty metal. I've mentioned before my good buddy James he's up to 9 Skeletors at his desk at work, and that's about half of his entire Skeletor collection.
Right.
Once he gets 10, though, HR is going to pull the plug there and say something's wrong with this guy.
One too many Skeletors.
One too many Skeletors. Did you watch The Toys That Made Us? Was that what is on Netflix or whatever? It was interesting because they got they got the franchise for Conan. Conan came out rated R, and they already did like the prototype for the bodies and everything. And they're like, we need to dial this back. And then it's kind of interesting. And then his apparently they had leftover tigers from what was it, like Big John or some sort of adventures, and they're like, well, we got all these boxes of tigers, what are we gonna do? And they're like, paint them green, let's paint them green, make them ride them, put a saddle on them, paint them green.
There we have Cringer.
Heck, make an evil one purple.
Panther. It's so good. All right, so I'm using this prismatic bolt. It's like a green to do the mutated flesh area on the arms here. for our good old Frank Horrigan miniature. It's kind of neat. Yeah. Definitely a mutant. I'm curious as to like what kind of music one would need to listen to really get into the Fallout vibe, right? I know Linda Carter did some music for the one that I think it's Fallout 75 that takes place around the DC area. But she did. She's like the neighbor, or the when you're out exploring and she's singing and stuff. She did that voice, and she also sang some songs for the soundtrack.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Linda Carter is just joy incarnate. Love her.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. I got to see her in concert at Baltimore Comic-Con one year. She came out and did like a VIP concert show, and her daughter joined her on stage, and her daughter is an amazing singer. I was like, what? I mean, Linda Carter is a great talent. Do not get me wrong, and a great singer. But when her daughter came out, I was like, oh, no, that's the voice of a songbird right there.
Ageist. Ageist. No, I'm just kidding.
Her talent was just,
no, just better, yeah.
let's say better.
Just different. Just different.
I don't want to make my birthday twinsy upset, though.
You're a birthday twinsy with Linda Carter?
I am.
Oh, interesting.
And there's the show, ladies and gentlemen.
I heard some stat. It was like every 1 in 20 people share the same. If you're in a room with like 20 people, there's a good chance you're going to share a birthday with one of those people.
That makes sense.
Which is like, I don't know how I found that. But.
Because statistics are weird.
And again, for anybody watching, if you don't know who Linda Carter is, she played the Wonder Woman character live action in the late 70s, early 80s. And reprised her role a few times throughout the years.
She's like
is really good.
She's like a Renaissance artist too. She her talents go beyond just acting or modeling. She's quite talented in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
A lot of heart for Linda Carter here.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, she was my, I would say, between her and Elvira, those were my two first celebrity crushes, right? I think everybody has celebrity crushes, right? But they were my first two. They're no longer my celebrity crushes. I only have one. That's it. And it's Diz from Starship Troopers. So
you love that Starship Troopers. I want to go back and get, and we do repeat some things because we love them so much, right? We're fans of them. Yeah. But I feel like Starship Troopers would be in the top 10 of things. Thundar, Starship Troopers, and today, Fallout.
Fallout. That's right. All right, we're going to clip these. I think I'm going to try to actually glue this together now and see how it's looking, and then go through and do the other like detail pieces and everything on this model.
Use some super glue. We'll get the X-Acto knife when you glue your fingers together.
Well, good evening, Nos of Trades. How are you?
Nos of Trades. Well, good evening, paint crew. Well met. Hopefully you're all painting and enjoying the hobby as we are wont to do. There we go. It's kind of funny is for those of you that are watching that don't know, I recently opened a game store, a brick and mortar store here in Lansing, Michigan. And today I had a patron come in and they bought the old expert box and the original basic, the basic box before the red box that everybody knows. And I was just like, and we talked a little bit about our fandoms and stuff, and it was just kind of interesting to see someone come in and be so excited to be able to get those old things like that. And I kind of feel like in the world of Fallout, right? It's kind of like, what was that Brendan Fraser movie?
It's just Blast from the Past.
Yeah. The Blast from the Past.
Yeah.
is like when he walks in to sell his baseball cards, not knowing how much they're worth. Being the store owner, when someone walks in like a Mickey Mantle rookie, I would be like, what?
Yeah. It's your Chumley moment, you know. It's like the how much you want for it, you know.
Well, I would make an offer on something like that.
Yeah, you'd have to, right?
Where I wouldn't. I would feel like I'd be ripping someone off if I did anything other than a fair market price for both parties.
Yeah.
In that one. But I feel like that's kind of like how this game would be. Is I've been in the vault. Obviously, it was stocked with things to maintain, because entertainment is a thing that needs to be a part of your whole experience when you're in lockdown like that, right? It just has to be, because if you aren't being entertained, you're gonna go crazy. Hashtag holodecks on Star Trek.
What was the it's not Godzilla. God, it's gonna drive me crazy. They had there's a sequel to it. It's got John Goodman in it. He's in his like fallout shelter in his basement or whatever. Do you remember this?
Oh, that is like that's a spooky movie.
Yeah, it's kind of spooky, right? Yeah.
It's something.
Cloverfield. It's Cloverfield Lane. Yeah. So Cloverfield's the main one, right? And it's got a Godzilla type monster, but it's like that shaky Blair Witch. I couldn't really watch it a whole lot. And this one is like more freaky, and they're in their basement. You don't really know what it is, and is he just like trapping people down there? And then someone actually escapes, and they go out onto the surface, and there's some weird stuff. I don't know if you've seen it. Is it aliens? I don't even think they really say exactly what it is. I think it's aliens. Spoilers. But it's been out for a while, right? But yeah, that would kind of count as one of these as well. You know, it's kind of a vault style little shelter thing you're in.
Hey, Nos, thanks for letting us know. He says, just a heads up, when Rick talks, there is a double audio randomly. Not every time, but randomly. Thank you for letting us know.
That's probably when I unmute my mic.
Testing 1 2 1 2. It's not.
When I unmute my mic.
Testing 1 2 1 2. And there it is. I know when it is.
It's the joys of being in the same room with your buddies.
Right.
That's what's going on here.
It is.
I didn't know there was. I saw the Cloverfield, but not the one with John Goodman. I didn't realize there was that many of them.
2 or 3? 2?
I feel like just 2 within that universe. Yeah.
Right.
Which were prequels to Mary Poppins.
Was it?
Oh man, I just recently watched that. Going through like what's a classic, again, old movie, right? But what's a classic movie you watch with the kids and put that thing on, and it gets a little trippy in there. You know, there's some weird Dancing with the Penguins. I mean, as much as they do with the animation, not as weird as like Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. Do you remember that Freakazoid movie? Mm-hmm. It's like Angela Lansbury. You guys want some Werther's Originals? They're so good. My favorite candy. No, I was just kidding. That's an old guy.
This one right here. Right? Tonight, it's like he's definitely a time traveler, right? He's got to be.
This is actually a rocking chair I'm sitting in. You know, it's like,
right?
Do you got any Orville Redenbacher popcorn? Drink some Bartles and James. This is a way throwback, yeah.
But the Werther's is a good one.
Yeah.
I like Werther's, actually.
He probably only remembers Leslie Nielsen from his serious roles and his romantic comedies.
He always had white hair, though. I don't understand it. His hair was like very, I don't know, he went gray at a very young age.
He was in one of the first like major sci-fi movies, even. And it was really serious.
Nos says that they have a job interview up by Lansing next week. He says, I found it funny. The echoes don't bother me, but they may bother others.
Now, we always appreciate the information. Now I'm hearing the echo.
We got to figure that out for season 3. So what kind of job interview are you going to there, Nos? I hope I'm saying that right. Nos of Trades. I'm gonna put just a little gunmetal on this blade. We have to go back around and do some touch-ups.
Nah, says they've got a government jet.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Break a leg. Not literally, like in the theatrical sense of good luck.
Yeah, definitely. Good luck. You got to get a good paying job to pay for this somewhat expensive hobby at times.
Right. It's one of the things I kind of feel bad about in regards to the hobby is up until I opened the store, I really didn't have any like I knew that certain games and certain things had a high price tag on them, but I didn't know what those price tags were because I didn't have to necessarily pay for a lot of stuff. Um, that's due to my job and everything. But now that I know what a lot of this is going for, it really is interesting as to you know what people are willing to pay for their entertainment and hobby. You know, like it blows my mind the price tags on a lot of like the GW or um the large scale miniature skirmish games.
Yeah, that's something I got into later. Now that I'm in my 40s, right? I'm 43, and it was like I couldn't pay for that in my 20s. I wouldn't even,
Oh man, in my 20s I couldn't have bought one box of that stuff. But that's back when penny candy was a penny. Right? Am I right?
That's when Werther's Originals was great. So Werther's Original face. Now, good luck with the job. And one gentleman's from Ohio, it looks like. We won't talk about Ohio. No, I'm just kidding. It's good to see a neighbor from the South.
Is it? No, it is. Absolutely is. I love going to Origins Game Fair down there, enjoying that show.
Del Rock over there. What hobbies are you working on, Del Rock?
I live to the lands of to the south that are round on the ends and high in the middle, which is Ohio. Nice. Good joke.
Just reread that and got it. It is good.
That's one of the dad jokes.
It was a slow burn. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, it's a dad joke.
Not only is it a dad joke, but it's a dad geography joke.
So good. So good. All right.
My personal favorite dad joke is, what is brown and sticky? A stick. Followed by, what is red and smells like blue paint?
Blue paint.
Red paint.
Dang it. You always get me.
What is Kermit the Frog's finger? No, that's not a joke, but
no.
You know the punchline. No. All right. Anyways.
No.
So right now people are trolling each other. We've got the Nos of Trades and Del Rock are now trolling each other. That's pretty funny. They're attacking each other in the chat. So I love it.
I mean, it's no different than when we actually went to war with Ohio over some land issues back in the day, right? Wasn't it over Toledo or something like that?
The Niles.
So funny.
History is good. But let's talk about the future, the post-apocalyptic future, which is Fallout.
That's right. Well, there's not much more that I can speak onto it. Outside of, I do know that in the board game that Modiphius makes, you can get the dog. There's a dog that you can get as a companion character in the video game.
It's one of the constants. You can always get a dog in Fallout. It's not always the same dog, but you can always get a dog. And that's important because it's really a boy and his dog. That's the story.
Okay. It also seems like the dog in the video game was called Dogmeat.
In one of them, yeah.
Okay. And I think that's the one that is in the board game is the one that you can get. It's called Dogmeat as well, which is kind of neat. A funny name.
Yeah, that was one from Fallout 3.
Okay.
One thing I loved about Fallout 3, since I'm one of the only people who can speak to it, is that Fallout 3 was incredibly buggy in all the best ways. Because it was one of their first real forays into that kind of open world game.
Okay.
And I mentioned before all the cars were nuclear powered, so all the wrecked cars that you would find would explode in dramatic and fantastical volumes. It's just
Nice.
astonishingly large explosions. And there's
Okay.
one corner of the world, there's a guy who made a fortress entirely out of broken cars.
Oh God.
And when it rendered, when it spawned, they would start above their position and fall into position. And that meant they would all explode in a beautiful chain reaction when you walked just close enough for the cars to spawn.
That's amazing.
Every once in a while, you'd be walking around in Fallout 3, and then your computer ground to a very slow frames per second, and then you would hear the apocalypse, and then things would start falling out of the sky.
That sounds brilliant.
It was hilarious.
I'm going to add a little echo to the line here, and then put up a photo of this Fallout Wasteland Warfare, the 2-player starter kit.
All right.
So just kind of take a gander what that looks like.
Very cool.
So kind of a skirmish game, kind of like a war strategy style game. It looks fun. The miniatures look amazing.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, Modiphius does a good job. They have a really good line of games. One of them that I definitely want to play is a role-playing game called Star Trek Lower Decks.
Star Trek Upper Decker, that's a totally different game.
Right. Right. You don't want to be up on the command, on the bridge. You want to be lower decks with your friends. You guys haven't watched the animated series yet, have you?
I have not.
You're missing out. It's so funny.
Upper Decker, by the way, is a bathroom joke. So
is it? Gross.
I'm picking up what you're. No, I'm not picking up what you're putting down.
No, gross. Yeah.
Now, are you talking about the original Star Trek animated series? That's the one I saw.
No, this is on Paramount Plus. It is got a little bit of a like not Futurama-esque art. I'm trying to remember. There's an animated series that had a little green creature called Moon Pie. It was super funny. It was on TBS, but it's the same animation style as that. And you're basically taking on the characters are, it's in the future. Mooncake. Yeah. Final Space. It has the same animation as Final Space. And, but yeah, you're basically watching a show of the ensigns. And it's a comedy. They get in all sorts of problems and stuff. It's so brilliantly written. Jonathan Frakes, Will Riker's character is the captain of the Titan, the USS Titan, and is a rock star of a ship captain. And it's just super funny stuff. It's worth a watch.
Was never a huge Trekkie, but I did always love that the TNG cast was so tightly knit. Like if one of them showed up in a different show, you could expect more of the TNG cast to show up in cameos later on. And if you heard the voice of Worf, you were going to hear the voice of Data at some point in some cartoon or whatever. You're just always looking out for each other, getting each other's jobs. I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah. They're a great cast and great characters, well written. So I'm doing a little dry brushing on the model now with just some silver over the grayed areas of the armor to give it that pop, which is super fun. Some of it's going to be a little more of a wet, because I like having that spot where it's maybe a little bit more silvered up. Like along these edges there. And I kind of feel like after I'm done that, I don't have any here. I don't think I do. Maybe I do. I have a dark tone and a green tone. I don't want green tone. I wish I think dark tone will work actually. And then do a wash of dark tone over it to give it that brownish, maybe a little bit more of a rusty look to some of his armor.
Yeah, it's looking really nice.
Thanks. We should probably give some shout outs, huh? We've been on for an hour.
Yeah, we're already past Thundar o'clock, so that'd be the next o'clock, right?
Next o'clock. That's right. So a big shout out to the Army Painter as one of our sponsors with the paints that we use. Game Envy, the makers of the hobby handle, and the Exemplar wet palette. We don't really use the wet palette in this on the show. We do have one here. I'll let you guys see what it looks like. It's a big old wet palette. It's super cool. They were at PAX Unplugged. Had a really good talk with the owner, Kit. He's a good dude, and they also make the water cup I use, which is this nice like collapsible water cup, and the brushes also are by Game Envy. And then Mats by Mars. If you go to matsbymars.com, you can check out all the cool play mats that they make that are specific to different types of, like, if you want a gridded out Marvel Crisis Protocol, Shatterpoint, Star Wars Shatterpoint, all the different types of miniature wargaming games that exist. They make a mat, mats, different scenarios on them, gridded to those different games. So I think they support almost every current miniature war game out there. All right. And who else?
TV.
Think Gen Con TV. Yeah, we should say. Big shout out to Gen Con TV. Someone's mic's on. So big shout out to Gen Con TV. So we wouldn't be here if not for Gen Con TV and them asking us if we wanted to come on and do this show, which you don't say no. All right. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to come on and do this and talk about our fandoms, our hobby, and our joy of painting miniatures and taking on the path of the brush that we do. So for those of you that don't know, both Mark and Will are also avid miniature painters and war gamers. So this is also something that they're very much a part of in regards to the hobby. So it's super awesome being able to share our joy of this with each other and all of you. So yeah, and of course Modifius for supplying the miniature that we're painting today, which is super cool. This is actually, I'm not upset with this at all. This is looking really good. So
this camera is a little bit closer than 3 feet, and it still looks good. So you're doing something.
What the heck?
Yeah, it only took 2 seasons.
Oh, brilliant! I can't walk 15 feet without getting hit hard by like Jeff in regards to like my painting skills. I tell people I'm not a great painter. It's a fact. I'm not, but I enjoy the hobby of painting, right? And in that joy, I want to be able to share it. I'm a good talker ish. Sometimes words elude me, but when it comes to like doing interviews, which I'm hoping for season 3, we'll be able to get a lot more interviews in. We have a plan, we have a thought and a plan going into action that might make it a. Ooh, no, that's too. That dark tone is not going to work. And I don't know if I have any other. So Will, in the back corner, right over there behind the whiteboard, there's more paint on that table. There might be a red topped flesh tone or strong tone, and those are usually brown. Yeah, maybe there might be. I don't know if there's going to be any on that table. I know there's some paint still there, I think. Ooh, you should definitely, Nas, enter a diorama for next year's Gen Con. Yes, Delrock, we are only on Gen Con TV. Do we have all of our your own homes on considering this is Gen Con TV. So I do have a channel, and it is here. I'll let you guys see it here. I'm going to comment in the chat. What's up? It's Rick. So my channel is Tabletop Test Drive, and I'm not really using it for content creation right now. Maybe in the future. Yeah. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Fire Giant Orange. I'm also kind of like, I might use Goddess Glow, which is kind of got a little bit of a brownish look to it. I'm going to give it just a drop, and I'm going to put it on something on the back and see if it, how it looks. If it doesn't look like how I want it to, I will consider something else. Thank you. Hardened leather. Give that one a look. Again, wonderful thing about paint. You can always paint over.
Isn't that a Judas Priest song? Hard leather.
It might be.
It's Hellbent for Leather, but yeah, you walked right into that one.
I did. I'm the worst.
But it would work for this. Army Painters, Hardened Leather by Judas Priest.
I normally help check in the entries for the painting competition. Nice. Well, this is a great channel. Beyond then, yeah. I haven't been back to Gen Con since COVID hit. Oh, Delrock, if you aren't, here's one of the things I think everybody watching should take into consideration for Gen Con next year is the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know everything that's going to be going on at Gen Con, but I can tell you that they're going to bring the A game. They're going to bring the big show to Gen Con to celebrate the 50th anniversary. It only makes sense, and it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited to go and be a part of next year's celebration because, I mean, I love Fallout miniatures. I've never played the video game. All my kids have played it in some capacity. That's why I do know a little bit. But the thing D&D is my favorite game, hands down. And I'm looking forward to being able to celebrate it with everybody else who loves Dungeons and Dragons next year at Gen Con. It's going to be so great. I'm super excited and geeked out. Oh, this might be the color we're looking for. Yeah. And I'm only going to use it in like certain spots where like there might be like oil coming off of. Oh, this is great. I don't know if you can see it. It kind of gives you that like oily muck.
All of a sudden, you're a box art painter. What's going on here? Looking great.
Yeah.
And Nas of Trades has dropped some serious knowledge. Said that Judas Priest is going to be at the Wing Stadium in Kalamazoo in May, and that USPS is doing D&D stamps for their 50th year.
They are.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wing Stadium's a great place. I saw a lot of concert there. It's small. It's like a hockey stadium, but like in Kalamazoo, yeah, it's a great place to see a concert. I'm sure they're going to be rocking. But yeah, that stamps, those will be cool. We can't get any nerdier. We're painting models and they're all stamps. Did anybody collect stamps as a kid?
I did. I was that kid. But it was only because my grandfather collected stamps when he was in the military and traveling the world, and so he had some world stamps that you just wouldn't normally see. And
those are cool.
Yeah.
I feel like it had a bit of a resurgence in the early 80s again. The coins, I feel like all collectibles kind of had to fall out.
Mm-hmm.
Pun very intended. In the 90s there, but like collecting coins, did you ever was like you have the little things and you put I'm collecting nickels, and you had them in there and you had a folio full of nickels.
Oh, the blue book.
Yeah, the blue book. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are up in like my old childhood, like in my parents' house, like up in the closet, and they always pull them out like, you got to get your collectibles, Mark. Like they're gonna be worth something. And once a year you look at them and go, nah, it's not ready, and you put them back.
Right.
They're not ready.
Well, in the 90s, wasn't it like comics and cards were really the collectibles at that point?
They really were.
Yeah, I had a buddy, his brother-in-law, Harris Auction House now out in Flint and Byron.
Right?
Yeah, those guys. But they had a card shop, down in Flint for a long time, and they would always, buy the boxes, and they'd be looking for specific cards, and they'd open the boxes, and we got all the the D cards or like all those, some decent cards or whatever, but they just overprinted everything, like all the Fleer and Upper Deck at that time, right? They just overprint like Image Comics and Marvel at that time. They just overprinted, so the value has gone down quite a bit. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Dang, this model is looking pretty slick. I'm not upset with this one at all. I'm not upset with any of them, anyways. But this one is looking super good and fun.
He's looking like the last boss.
Yeah. And now I just got to figure out what I want to do with that base, because it's all about the base. No trouble. Okay.
All your base belong to us. Anybody remember that?
All your base belong to us.
All your base.
Before we called them memes.
Mm.
A simpler time.
Dio was my music of D&D use. Dio is great. My D&D music. So I when I do TikToks, every once in a while I'll do one that'll be like, I'll say it'll say turn up the volume, right? And hopefully they'll turn up the volume, and then I'll be like, Siri, or Alexa, play Dungeon Master by Visigoth. And so if anybody has Siri or an Alexa or whatever, it would initiate that song being played in their house. It's a good gotcha. But was it Dragon Force? I love listening to Dragon Force.
Dio, Holy Diver. The funniest lyric is that the whole ride the tiger. You can see his stripes, but he's clean. Like that. I don't know. For every time I hear it, it cracks me up. Don't know what it means.
I think it's talking about heroin.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
That's not appropriate.
That's interesting.
But it's good to know. Lesson learned. Stay away from drugs.
Riding the tiger. That was one of the nicknames.
I thought it was riding the dragon. Also chasing the dragon. Anyways.
All right. I'm going to use some of this peachy flesh on the base, which I know isn't a typical color for a base, but I'm going to see what it looks like, and then I might consider doing some browns after that to kind of make it like a dirt. And then I don't usually do basing on the show, but I'm gonna definitely put some of the like burnt looking tufts of grass that are the brownish ones around it to give it that, like, again, kind of a wastelandy feel, right?
Well, and those flesh tones are surprisingly versatile for stuff like that.
Yeah. So another great use of the Speed Paint 2.0, because this base has got a lot of texture to it. So it's really getting into those cracked sand.
Crevasse.
So good. Do you all remember Pogs? Of course. I was stationed in Hawaii when Pogs became very popular. Off topic, but Will sure looks like Robert Sean Leonard at Poet Society. Holy crapes. You do. That's hilarious and accurate.
That's been following me almost as long as Danger Will Robinson has been following me.
Really?
Yeah.
Do people think you look like the Doctor?
Actually, I played him for Halloween once. Did a really good job. The one I don't totally have a man crush on, David Tennant.
All right.
Your dedication to the character, though, it's not like I dressed up as him. You're like, I played him for Halloween once. And I do the same thing. You get in character, and you can't break the character. You got to be in character. That's funny.
I don't think I've dressed up for Halloween in decades.
Look at your shirt. You dress it up all the time, man.
Hey, I'm pretty happy with this shirt.
It's a good looking shirt. We had to call
right?
it. So.
My Viking Santa with the whole, what does it say here?
Deck the halls
with, what does it say? Skulls and bodies. And then on the bottom, you can't see it, says Valhalla, which is brilliant.
It is good. If Santa was a Viking, I feel like they should make that. They got so many Santa flicks. It's not a Hallmark one, but it could be, I feel like it would be on Prime, probably.
Did you see, what is it, Bloody Christmas? Or the one that has the...
Deadly Christmas, isn't it? Or Dangerous Christmas?
There's one on there now called Violent Night.
Violent Night,
yeah.
Thank you, that's it.
It's like we're setting you up for that, but no, it's like I literally didn't know.
So I watched it, and yeah, he's a Viking of some sort. He isn't Odin, as the Odin mythology kind of would say. Yes, it is, but yeah, in that story arc, he is a Viking, and it's super good. And I hope they do a second one.
Violent Night 2.
Yeah.
Did you like him as Hellboy?
I enjoyed him as Hellboy, yes. I did not enjoy the writing of the movie that he was in, but as the character was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think special effects and things looked good.
Yeah, he was good.
Compared to Ron Perlman?
I mean, Ron Perlman is a great Hellboy, but he's like 100 years old now. He can't get into that costume and not die of heat exhaustion. You don't want to kill Ron Perlman.
No.
So, I mean, maybe someone does, but it's not me.
It'd be like killing Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, man, throwback. Talk about great. I was a big fan of that series when it was out.
My mom couldn't get enough of it.
Sure. It was a romance movie.
I remember watching The Beauty and the Beast, and I can't remember what was happening. There was a babysitter over watching Beauty and the Beast. I'm a little kid at the time. And then there was like a breaking news. Little Jessica was freed from the well. Do you remember this?
Whoa, yes.
It screwed up my whole night of Beauty and the Beast. I was like, what's, because they lived under the sewers. Was in New York, under the sewers in New York. It's like sub-labyrinth world and everything. And he's a lion and looking man. He's a beast guy. And it's the lady from Terminator. Yeah,
Linda Hamilton.
Linda Hamilton, yeah. But yeah, baby Jessica was freed from the well. And then now they're actually like, there's that commercial on TV that they're like, feel good moment 58 or something like that, freeing a man from a well after 50 years later, something like that. Have you seen this?
No.
Anyways, if you see it, I'm sorry, it's terrible commercial.
The thing that brings joy and humor. Let's see. That was such a good movie. Yeah, that's a good shirt. Where do I get mine? Oh my God, Violent Night is great. So Delrock, I got this shirt on a site called King Size, which is for big men. This is a 6X shirt, Hawaiian shirt. Yesterday I wore one that had Darth Vader as was the Santa Claus hat and everything. And tomorrow I'll be wearing one at the store that is. The shirt itself looks just like Santa's jacket. And I have some other Santa themed shirts that I'll be wearing up until Christmas. Yeah.
I love it. Keep the theme alive.
Yeah.
But he doesn't dress up.
For Halloween.
For Halloween, right?
It says
true. I don't dress up for Halloween. I do have a full Santa costume sitting right over here, just off camera. And I think I'm probably going to wear it in the final episode of the season.
I think you're going to have to.
Yeah.
I think so.
You will time.
Yeah.
Isn't your nickname Tabletop Santa, or one of your nicknames?
It is one of my nicknames. Yeah.
Is it more of an alias?
I would almost say it's more of an alias. Yeah, for sure.
If they ever catch it, it's going to be like, we finally got Tabletop Santa, aka.
That's right. The Cryptozoology Society that do the SPC, numbers for the different cryptos that are out there. So like Santa is like 661 or whatever, SPC 661 or whatever. Bigfoot has his own designation.
The Devil 666, right? Was that?
I think it is. Yeah.
That's Iron Maiden. That's not Judas Priest. All right,
Right.
we digress.
Mm.
But wait, what would be your post-apocalyptic? You said Linda Carter. That scared me a little. I definitely went down the metal route of like,
Mm.
you know, some Cannibal Corpse type stuff or something like.
Well, if I were listening to like post-apocalyptic content, as far as like like music,
What would be your post-apocalyptic playlist? Yeah, like what would be your?
it would be it would be something from like the 50s and 60s, like doo-wop, right? I would be listening to like the sock hop kind of like
Come on, baby, let's
Yep.
do the twist. Bombs exploding.
Yep, that would be my soundtrack.
And that's what there's radio stations in the Fallout games that's the soundtrack. It's 50s music. It's still stuck in that era.
Nice.
See, it all comes full circle. And you thought we didn't know anything about Fallout today.
But that's what that's even if not knowing that, that's what I would definitely listen to. Yeah, and I can imagine that. Yeah, come on, baby, let's do the twist, and bombs exploding and just dust flying in front of you as you're just kind of like walking towards the camera,
Eating a Twinkie or something, like just having like a good day.
as mutants are being blown up. All I want to do is trade my Nuka-Cola bottle caps for freaking goods and services. That's still Fallout, right? All right. Nas says post-apocalyptic music for me would be smooth jazz. That would be also funny.
Like Ron Burgundy style, Yaz flute. I just couldn't do. Oh, okay, let me get this flute out. Smooth jazz. Who do you spin with this smooth jazz?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, who would you actually spin?
Dave Brubeck Quartet would be a good one.
Oh, Jesus, look at you, just throwing it out there.
That is great. Yeah.
I'd Take 5. It's just a great song.
Funny bit of knowledge too is if you've watched any of the previous episodes of Path of the Brush, you would also know that I got a Conan sword made for a show called Super Fan Builds. But a buddy of mine named Ross Thompson, who also works in the game industry, was also on the show, and he got a Nuka-Cola refrigerator made for his episode of Super Fan Builds, which is just a brilliant piece of like fandom, right? Will's bringing me my Conan sword. Yeah, I did mention it, so we got to show it off. So yeah, this is my Conan sword. It's the Atlantean sword from Conan the Barbarian, the one he finds in the cave with the giant skeleton, and before he goes and takes the wolves and uses their hides to save himself. Yeah, and that was made by the Stagmer brothers of Baltimore Knife and Sword, out of Baltimore. You might know them as the Men at Arms. Yeah. So super cool. But yeah, having a Nuka-Cola fridge made for you because it's your super fandom is super cool.
That is very cool.
All right. I'm actually pretty happy with this miniature. I think the only thing that needs to be done for me, it's tabletop ready. So all I would need to do is go back and take some yellow and dry brush on the base. The base is still pretty wet. So dry brush on the base, some yellow and some browns, and then take some of those burnt puffs from like the Army Painters terrain line.
Clear that up a little bit.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Yeah. But I think it looks great. And what's funny is like that the creature, the Razor or Deathclaw, thank you. One coat of that murder scene is I think all it needed. I might take some black and do like the racing line around the base and around the nubs of the limbs here. Just to kind of like
polish that up. Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I think this is a done model. Yeah. Very cool. All right, everybody. I think that's going to be our show today. We appreciate y'all tuning in and joining us. Big shout out to Mark and Will for everything they do behind the camera, and also joining us on camera, talking about all the things that we love in our fandom, and as part of the Path of the Brush, things that inspire us through movies and other mediums, to when we're working on such projects that for color schemes and different ideas on how we'd want our model to look based on like Damnation Alley. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's probably a horrible, it probably doesn't like stand the test of time, but it's one that's always stuck in my mind because the vehicle was so cool. Until next time, next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m., check out all the other cool shows that are on Gen Con TV. We've got coming up next Actoroki with Peter and all of his crew. It's going to be amazing. It always is. And then there's all sorts of other amazing content throughout the week, which you can check out in the schedule right here on the Gen Con TV page here on Twitch. Check them all out, enjoy them, and share all your nerddom with them as well. And if you haven't yet, also hit that heart, hit that bell, or subscribe if you can. If you have Amazon Prime, you do get a free subscription to a channel. If you haven't used it yet, use it on Gen Con TV, so that that little bit that everybody participating and subscribing helps us bring better content and more content to the channel for your entertainment. Because it's not just 4 days of gaming when it here on Gen Con TV. It's every day can be a great day of gaming. So, and we love being a part of your community, and thank you for letting us join you and in your path of brush and paint and all the fun things there. So go to your friendly local game store. I'm Rick. You can lick the brush, just don't eat the paint.